I've seen some stories recently about like video games getting delisted from their storefronts, and I think now's a good time to bring back up the subject of physical media and why it's so important to us as gamers, but also just to media as a whole. Because this age of streaming and subscription models has really grown very tiresome over the past several years. And I know I kind of touched on this in a video I made a few months back when I was talking about why I collect video games. And this is going to have a touch of overlap with that, but I feel like this subject is a bit more involved than just what I covered there. And there's also some things that we can be a bit more objective about the importance of, and not just why it's important to me. And so that's what I want to discuss today, is the importance of physical media as a whole. I'm going to be approaching this predominantly from the perspective of a gamer, but this goes for every kind of media. This isn't just video games. This is video games. This is movies. This is music. This is books. This is anything that's moved away from being able to physically hold something when you enjoy it to just doing it on your phone. And the first thing I really want to discuss about that is accessibility. The struggle of streaming, or everything being in your own cloud, is that cloud or those streaming services require you to have access to the internet. Granted, that's mostly a non-issue now. It's very easy to get access to the internet whenever you need it, whether that be at a hotspot at a coffee shop or just having it on your phone, because most everybody has some kind of cellular device nowadays. But accessing these services requires access to the internet. There might be some kind of outage from your internet provider in your area that lasts for a little while they get whatever caused the issue resolved. Us relying on the internet to access whatever media we're trying to access can be very easily interrupted if the circumstances cause it. The beauty of physical media is everything that you need to enjoy it is right here. As long as you have a player of some kind that can read this medium, then you're good to go and you can enjoy it. There's no server handshake that has to happen. There's no internet required. You don't even have to be on your home network. You just put in the disc or put in the cartridge and it plays. And that's something that I feel like gets overlooked whenever talking about this, is because being able to access it offline is such an important aspect of physical media. And in that is an important distinction of which version of physical media that you're choosing to keep in your collection. This is going to be more in part to games than it is to movies and music, but it might apply in some of those cases too. So unfortunately, physical media is not made equally anymore. Take, for instance, the BioShock collection here on PS4. Inside of this comes 2 discs. You've got one for BioShock 1 and BioShock 2, and you've got another for BioShock Infinite. All 3 of these games are full and complete on these discs. Some games, unfortunately, don't do that anymore. Take the BioShock collection. This got a physical release on the Nintendo Switch. That does not have all of the information on the cartridge, so if you go that route and don't have access to the internet, you will not be able to enjoy all 3 of the games. There's a resource that's come up in the past couple of years called doesitplay.org, and it's a growing database of games where they tell you whether or not the game can be played without internet, because there are some like live service games that require internet, or some games that just require you to be connected to the internet even though it's a single player campaign. They let you know if you are required to have internet to play the game, and then they let you know if a download is required for the game to be playable and finishable. As far as download required, they have 4 different rankings on there. They have, yes, a download is required to play the game. They have a download is recommended to play the game. A download is not required, but you're not going to get the best experience. And a download is not required to get the full experience of the game. Once again, we'll talk about BioShock. The BioShock collection on PS4, completely playable, completely finishable, completely enjoyable off the disc. Whereas the PS5 release of Expedition 33, there were apparently some pretty serious issues that got patched out of this after the discs were printed. If you care about physical collecting and you want everything to be playable off of the discs, keep doesitplay.org bookmarked, because it's going to be an invaluable resource going forward. But the next thing I want to discuss is what it probably prompted this whole wanting to talk about this anyway, is the subject of ownership. In the age of digital releases, it's important to understand that you're not purchasing the game. You are purchasing the right to play the game. And the unfortunate truth is that right can be revoked at any time. It's a little worse if you're paying for a subscription to a game service or to any of these services. You're buying access to these things. You are not buying the things themselves. They can just as easily be taken away as they are made available to you. That happened a little while ago with Sony removing digital movie purchases from people's accounts. That's happened recently with Xbox removing things from their storefront. That happened a long time ago on the PS3 with like the Scott Pilgrim game. These things that people paid money for or accessed and enjoyed, the access to it was taken away. And if you had already bought it and didn't have it downloaded when it was removed from the storefront, you couldn't buy it anymore, which makes sense because it's removed from the store, but then you also couldn't re-download it if you'd already bought it. That's just a real crappy aspect of this modern age of digital media, because that is definitely not something that's limited to games. That is a movie thing, that is a music thing, that is a book thing. There are albums that disappear from Spotify and Apple Music. There are movies, they disappear from one service to show up on another. And that's just because licensing rights change. You get into the legality of all of this stuff, and it's just so frustrating as a consumer to try and keep up with where can I watch this movie I want to watch, or where did this game I bought go. It's just very frustrating, and something you wouldn't have to worry about if you had physical copies of whatever you're trying to enjoy. And I wouldn't be doing this topic a proper service if I didn't discuss preservation when it comes to the idea of physical media. I'm going to use the example of games here, but this goes for movies and music as well, because there's plenty of movies and plenty of albums that have been lost to time because they were not properly preserved. Preservation gets brought up a lot in the retro game scene because it's something that is very important and very much at risk in this modern age of gaming because of just how many games are released exclusively digitally. 2 years ago, the 3DS shop closed down. The PS3 PlayStation Store, they tried to close it down, but there was enough backlash that they brought it back. That's only in the past 3 or 4 years, these storefronts have been getting shut down, and you have games that have only ever been released on these storefronts. And that goes for older releases too. Something like Tales of the Abyss is not accessible on modern storefronts. This game came out in 2005 and eventually in 2011 got a re-release onto the 3DS. But if you don't have one of these two systems, you can't legally play Tales of the Abyss. And then that gets even worse for games that have never been re-released. Something like Fragile Dreams on the Wii, or Tulip on the PS2, or Stunt Racer 64. These games have only ever been released on these systems, and because of that, if you don't have these systems, you'll never be able to experience these games. But because these games exist on physical media, they are going to be able to survive into the future and not disappear when a storefront closes down. That way, down the line, somebody can come along and learn of these games and track them down to be able to play them, and not just understand that they're just lost to time, like so many movies and so many albums and so many games have been. I'm sure you could argue, are some of these games even worth playing? And while that's a fair argument, I don't think it matters, because you should be able to experience it. Even if it's bad, you should be able to experience that it's bad and make that decision for yourself. You shouldn't have to just trust somebody who was there to experience it, that they thought it was bad. You should be able to experience it for yourself. And one last reason I think physical media is important is intention. I know I talked in that last video about how putting friction between changing what I'm watching or changing what I'm doing makes me more likely to stick with it and see it through to the end. The same goes with intention and attention. If I'm choosing to put this game in and play it, and I'm making that intentional effort to play this game, I'm going to be more likely to pay attention to it. Because if I'm just going about my day, I have my AirPod in my ear, and I'm listening to an album or to a podcast or something, it's very likely that I just have that there for background noise, and I'm not actually paying attention to what I'm listening to. If I just turn on something on Netflix and grab my phone, I'm not paying attention to what I'm watching. It's really just there as a stimulus, so I don't have to sit in silence for too long of a time. And that's something that I think everybody could stand to do more of, is to be more intentional with what you're taking in, and not just doom scrolling on TikTok or letting Netflix fill your eyes with whatever garbage it chooses to. Just something to think about. Something that's really been on my mind lately, and something that I really wanted to discuss with you guys. So I've gone on for 35 minutes now. Holy crap, that's been I wonder what this is actually going to cut down to. I think that's really all I have to say about the importance of physical media. Is physical media important? Is there a reason we should keep it around? Is there a reason we should keep doing what we're doing? Or am I just some old codger who's looking for something to complain about? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. But I think that's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to hit that like button. And if you like what I do here, then hit subscribe, because that does help me out a lot. If you're watching this when it comes out, I am actually in Johnson City, Tennessee currently. At the BST Gaming Convention. My buddy Justin is throwing the show and graciously allowed me to attend as a guest. So Justin, I want to thank you so much for that. If you're watching this video and you're anywhere even remotely near Johnson City, come to the show. It's a really cheap ticket getting in. Come say hi. It's going to be a real good time. But I think that's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I look forward to bringing even more game talk videos just like this one as the days go on. So again, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good one, y'all.